Game week 38, the final game week of the Premier League season. And let me tell you, 2-3 months ago, we were not even sure if we would ever get to see the return of the Premier League, because when the French league got cancelled, there were a lot of rumours that other clubs would also follow their footsteps. But the Premier League board stuck firm to finishing the league, and I'm so glad that they did, because just from the restart itself, it has been absolutely amazing to watch. It has been pure entertainment. The table has gone up and down, up and down. The position have shuffled around. Sheffield, who were fifth at the point when the reset happened, they are not even in the Europa League spot anymore. And the drama is still not over yet. It has stretched itself to the final day, and this is why the Premier League is the most entertaining league in the world. Let's start from the top. Liverpool and Manchester City have already qualified for Champions League next season, but from there on, it's open game for everyone else. Manchester United, who are sitting in third, they go to the Fox Stadium to play Leicester City, who are outside the top four, sitting in fifth position. To secure UCL, Manchester United just need a win or a draw from the final day, and that will see the return of Champions League football at Old Trafford next season. Whether they finish third or fourth, that will depend on if they draw or if they win, and also depend on what happens with the Chelsea game. Whereas their opponents on the final day, Leicester, they need to win to guarantee Champions League football on their own. If they draw, they could still be in for a shout, but that will depend on Chelsea dropping points at Stamford Bridge against Wolves. Leicester have a superior goal difference to Chelsea, so if they finish level on points, their head-to-head is also equal. So based on Leicester City's goal difference, they could go ahead if Chelsea lose and Leicester draw against United. Let's move on to Chelsea. To secure UCL, they just need a 1 point on the final day itself against Wolves, and regardless of what happens elsewhere, they will finish in a UCL spot in at least third or fourth. But should Chelsea face the worst case scenario, they are still with a shout. Let's say Chelsea lose against Wolverhampton Wanderers, but they would need to depend on United beating Leicester City, because Leicester City are 1 point behind Chelsea before going into the match. So if Chelsea lose and Leicester lose, Chelsea could still end up in fourth spot in a Champions League position. For Wolves, they are out of the UCL, but they're sitting sixth, which is now a Europa League spot, since Manchester City have won the Carabao Cup, so another position has been added in the table. They need to win to confirm their place in the Europa League, but if they draw or lose, it's still not over for them. They would be dependent on Spurs not winning their game against Crystal Palace. Spurs face Crystal Palace away. Their goal difference is less than Spurs before going to the final match, and their head-to-head is equal. So Spurs winning their game would mean trouble for Wolves if they fail to win their game against Chelsea. And last but not the least, Jose Mourinho Spurs. They are the only team in the race for the European spot whose fate does not rest in their own hands. Even if they win against Crystal Palace, they still need Wolves to drop points against Chelsea in order to go sixth. They're sitting 1 point behind Wolverhampton Wanderers, but it's not over yet. There could be another spot awarded for the Europa League if Chelsea win the FA Cup final against Arsenal. So whoever loses and sits on 7th on the final day, there is still hope for them to make the Europa League spot. So that's it, everything you need to know before going to the final day of the Premier League season 2019-2020. Chelsea have had a very impeccable home run form since the restart, so I can see them winning or at least getting a point from Wolves, which is what they need for the Champions League qualification. Manchester United and Leicester will be very close. United have had a couple of draws in the last 3 matches, and Leicester City will be highly motivated because they have seen a drop of form in recently, and they will be looking to prove a point. I can see that game being very close, and maybe that will end up in a draw. So I see United and Chelsea both making the Champions League spot, and Leicester losing out for a Europa League spot in 5th position. I think Spurs will win their game against Crystal Palace. Jose Mourinho will be highly prepared for this game, and Wolves are up against a very attacking Chelsea side and a very informed Chelsea attack. So Spurs overtaking Wolves on the final day could very well be possible, in my opinion. That's all for predictions. Let me know what your predictions are on the final day and what do you think the table could look like after the final round of the final whistle has gone off everywhere around the Premier League.